Get Warrior Tough, Mental Training 101 with Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman on 105.5 The Roar. And now back to Andrew and Dutch.
What up? Andrew and Dutch and Andrew, back in the saddle. Get Warrior Tough. Most monumental hour in media anywhere on planet Earth and probably Mars, Venus, and Uranus. I made you laugh, Dutch, because I said Uranus. Mick came in from school. She was learning this in middle school. She was like, she just learned, she was learning the planets, and so they were all, middle schoolers, they were all laughing about it. I said, yeah, it's always funny when you say planet Uranus. See, you're laughing again. You can't help but laugh, man. It's funny. I love school. Yeah, it's good stuff. Hey, if you want to join us on the Twitter, because there's only one, use the hashtag #GetWarriorTough. You can find Dutch at @DutchColeman, and I'm at WarriorToughPhD.
Yes. And I must say, out of all the planets, I know least about Uranus.
See, it makes me laugh. It's just too funny. Dude, what were they thinking? I mean, come on, man. I mean, that had to be like an inside science joke. Like, that was like a nerd humor or something, right? They're like, I know, we'll name it that. That'll always be funny for all times. Well,
I heard that the planet is surrounded by these gas rings. So
is that Saturn or is that Uranus?
You thought about it, though.
Yeah, right? You made me think about it. You got to watch Dutch, man. And listen, this is a warning to everybody. If you're going to follow Dutch on Twitter, understand that on Twitter, he's raging sarcastic. He will bait you like nobody's business when he's talking about on the Twitter. So don't take him so seriously on the Twitter. I'm just letting everybody know. They don't get it, Dutch.
And there's plenty of elementary sarcasm for some of you that don't get it that fast, and some people still fail at it. I made a comment about Cam Newton this past week.
Yeah, you're like, oh, they got to cut him or something. It was.
I think, okay, no, I know what happened. Ted Ginn Jr. from The Ohio State University kept dropping passes. And then Funches from Michigan dropped a pass, and I said, man, these guys are dropping passes left and right. Cam stinks. And so someone really thought I was serious about that. But my whole premise is that they blame the quarterback for everything.
Right.
But you got all these guys dropping passes right in their hands. So I'm like, oh, man, look at these guys dropping. And so if you're watching the game and you're engaged in the game, then you know what I'm talking about. And I say, hey, man, everyone's dropping passes left and right. You got to cut that quarterback.
Yeah, you got to cut him.
What? You can't. What do you mean?
Oh,
you can't be serious. You got to justify that. And I'm
that's so really funny. I'm just laughing. I'm watching the feed, and I'm like, it's helped me take my mind off of the bad officiating.
The good news is one of my buddies from Clemson lore, Brian Narcissus, he knows me really well. One of my really good friends. He translated for me, so he was like, Dutch, don't worry, I got this one right here.
Okay, yeah, so he helped you with that. That's so funny.
The guy, and I'm like, because I was away from Twitter right after I did that tweet. I went away, and I came back. I saw that Brian, or Be Nice is what we call him, the dunk machine. I mean, he could jump clear out the gym. But anyway, he had cleared it up with the guy and said, hey, man, chill out. He's being sarcastic. He's the master of it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. See. Yeah, there's a little bit lost in translation on the Twitter because if you don't really know you, like, and I could tell when you're starting to ramp up, like, oh, here he goes, he's getting ornery again, But on Twitter, I have to look at it a couple times. And I go, oh, Dutch is doing his thing, right? So it is pretty funny. So all right, so listen, we got a couple minutes. I want to hear your thoughts on this concussion stuff because what I said in the last segment was I feel like that the NFL is mirroring, and imitating the tobacco industry's behavior, which makes us think that they're trying to hide something, even if they aren't, because the way they're acting.
Now I will say this. They were trying to hide something, but from the point that it's revealed on, you can't hold them to that anymore. It's about you, and it's about personal accountability from that point. Now, we know some of the veteran football players, they have a claim because there was information, much like the tobacco industry, that they hid. They hid some of the data that showed the head injuries the brain injuries that were occurring. They kept that buried. They kept it from people. Okay, so that's why you have the settlement with the veteran players, the players that are retired, right? And the players that have moved on. But at the same time, moving forward, they're trying to figure out how do we get people not to sue us moving forward. Well, I say moving forward, they're pretty much aware of everything. They're aware of the risks. So now it's a personal choice. You're aware, and that's the same thing with tobacco. It was a bad thing when they were hiding the information, but once general information decided the package, and they started releasing the data, it became not general knowledge, but accessible knowledge.
Right. Now
you're making a choice to do that with the knowledge. So from that point on, the tobacco industry and the football, the doctors with respect to the NFL can no longer be held accountable because both are legal. Tobacco, the selling of tobacco and the use of tobacco is legal. Playing football is legal. So now it's a choice with all the information. And the doctor from the Concussion movie came out and said they should ban football younger than the age of 18. And I'm sitting there like, I get that if you want to do this whole protect the children thing, but I'm also saying, what's the problem? The problem existed when we didn't know. Now that we know, you should have a sport that's populated with people that have made the choice to play it with all, like, fully informed, fully educated. So then what's the problem now? So now if you have less people playing the game because of that information, then hey, that's what it is. But to ban the sport when, and I know I'm going long here, but I want people to get this. You have a certain percentage of football players that's still very small that get this when there's tons of them that don't get it, right? So you still have a calculated risk. It's not like you're looking at a thing where you say 90% of football players are getting CTE.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I do.
And then the cherry on top, Andrew, is the fact that if you ban football because of a concussion problem, then you got to look at soccer. Soccer has more concussions than football, which I learned that, and I'm still kind of shocked with that. So then do we ban soccer?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Like,
yes, please.
But you know, and then you got to look at. Someone told me softball had a high incident of concussions in the younger ages. So I'm sitting there like, man. So what do you do? But I think the kicker is now that we know, we can make an informed choice, even if it's 1% of people coming up with 2%, 3%. I can make an educated choice of what I want to do with respect to the game.
All right, so I'm gonna hit you with a fact, Mal. All right, here's a fact: the most dangerous high school and college sport with the most injuries, cheerleading.
Yes, that's the other.
I'm not kidding it. I mean, that's a legitimate stat. You guys can look it up. Cheerleading is the most dangerous, most injury riddled activity. We say it's a sport because they do compete, with other squads, but it's just. And no one thinks twice about that. We're all talking about the guys on the field, and then we got the cheerleaders. Then they're way more susceptible to long-term injuries than the guys on the field.
They talked about the head injuries with the different stunts that they do.
Absolutely.
And all that. So yeah, you're absolutely. That was the other one that I heard. And as another one, they talked about MMA, mixed martial arts, and boxing. Do you get rid of mixed martial arts and boxing at the junior levels? Even with headgear, it's susceptible to damage.
Yeah, and with like Jack, when he's wrestling, they have to do this. They do a concussion test at the beginning of the year. They give him a baseline in case they get a concussion, and they're doing this at the high school level now, and even in I think middle school too when you wrestle. Is that right, Jacko? Not for the middle schoolers, just the high schooler. Okay, just the high schoolers. They have to take this baseline test, so that if they did get a head injury, they have a baseline to check where they were before, that happened.
Absolutely. So I get it, but I think I don't want us to go too far with it. And I think we need to focus on the fact that the reason we're angry about the NFL, the reason we're angry about the tobacco industries of the world is because they hid information.
Because they hid information, yeah. We're kind of losing you on the Skype right now. You're in and out, so the connection is really slow.
Beyond that.
Hey, hang on, Dutch. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut off the video so we can still hear your audio. Let's see if we're gonna try that. The internet is just junking out on us. Are you still there?
The information is. Yep, I'm still here.
Okay, go ahead, man.
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I was saying is that the whole issue is that we had with the NFL and the issue that we had with tobacco, big tobacco, is the fact that we didn't know. And they were quote unquote hiding information, hiding results, hiding data that was detrimental to the people. But now we know, hey, it's on us. It's a choice.
Yeah, and so I get, but and what's going to happen with this movie? And now we got big names like Will Smith in it, and the way it's going to be set up is it's going to get people very emotional, because that's what movies do. We're very emotional, and we get people ramped up. And facts really don't matter in Hollywood. I mean, even the things that are based on a true story are Hollywooded up. It's not really real, and we're very good at telling stories in Hollywood. And working people's emotions. And so I think it's a cautionary note that if you really want to know, don't just echo whatever you heard in the Hollywood movie, but that you would actually dig in and find the facts of the research for yourself. Would you agree with that, Dutch?
I agree wholeheartedly. And to echo that point even further is the guy from the movie who discovered this, his mentor, so a guy who he may feel like is as smart as him or smarter, a guy that he followed his whole career, that he was guided by, disagrees with his conclusions. So, chew on that for a second, that you have these two high-powered individuals with the same data and the same research, and they're disagreeing from a conclusion standpoint. So that's another thing to look at.
Yeah, and this happens more in science than you would think. There's a lot of disagreement when we're looking at data. It's amazing. If you ever been inside the room with some scientists, and they could all be looking at the same data and everybody has a different take on it, it's really amazing. So even when we quote studies here at Get Warrior Tough, anybody at any time, people could argue with it, whether it's right or it's wrong or whatever. So all we could do is cue you up what the data says, and then you have to make your own decision. And I think that's what you're saying about, okay, here's the data. There is danger. You have to make your own decision. It's kind of like in South Carolina, it's not illegal to ride a motorcycle without a helmet.
Which I never understand that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think in Georgia, it's illegal.
In most states it is. Most states you have to have a helmet, but not in South Carolina, man.
Yeah, not in South Carolina. You're absolutely right.
And then people arguing about we shouldn't have to wear our seatbelts and on and on and on. But there is protective gear in football. I mean, they protect you. They have rules that protect you. I mean, we saw that at the ACC championship game. Green got pushed out of the game and ejected because of targeting.
Right. The funniest thing is the people that are coming to some of these conclusions, and I don't know how much this doctor knows about youth football, but up to certain levels, if you've seen a youth football game, there are no head injuries occurring in those. I mean, those kids basically just kind of grab each other and kind of agree to fall to the ground.
Right. I mean, they're not making spearing tackles at speed. No, you're right. It's hilarious. Yeah.
I love it because they just kind of, it's kind of like a silent agreement that, okay, you're holding me, so we're just going to go down together slowly. And then as you get older, you get the collisions and you get the speed. But at the lowest levels, I mean, I don't know if their heads even touch each other at any high level. It's kind of clack, 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 clack. I mean, it's great to watch.
Right, and the force isn't there. All right, so we got a break coming up. When we get back, we'll if you want to add any finishing touches onto this discussion, we can. And I also want to bring up the Golden State Warriors coaching issue. All right, we'll see you after break.
A company that has happy employees will be more effective. A company that has employees that know how to deal with obstacles and problems will make more money. A company that gives their employees the tools to make those things happen is the company that turns to Andrew Wittman. Andrew has been teaching leadership, performance discipline, emotional intelligence, critical thinking, and mental toughness for almost 30 years. He's a veteran with combat experience in the Marines and experience as a police officer, federal agent, and security contractor for the State Department. His keynote speeches, half-day and full-day seminars are engaging, effective, and energizing. Your employees will leave feeling empowered. They'll learn how to foster better communication, build strong working relationships, develop crisis and conflict management skills, and more. Visit GetWarriorTough.com to read testimonials from people just like you. GetWarriorTough.com.